How's it going, everybody? Bryan, Alvarez, and Dave Meltzer here. Wrestling Observer Radio, December 15, 2018. Figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. We got news to talk about here today. TLC. Watched a great New Japan match. We got some news. All that kind of good stuff. Dave, what's going on?
How's your weekend?
I'm a wreck right now.
Are you? What? Really?
Thank God for you and Garrett the last couple of days. Carrying the load here.
Geez, let me tell you something. I'm not really that tired right now, but these last 3 days have been like, just there's too much. I think at some point I got to just go like, I'm watching one show a day and that's it. Because these 2 and 3 show days, it's like.
I've been suggesting this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. But I mean, the thing is like the shows were good. I mean, like, everything that I saw on Saturday was good. Today wasn't too much. I mean, today I had some family stuff in the morning, and then I had to write my MMA fighting article and then do the update. And then I went out, and they started that freaking show at like right after 3 o'clock our time. So, I mean, I did see it, but I was hoping that they would start at like, 3:30 or something. So it was like a 5-hour show, and
I mean, listen, this could be just me, but like, after the last show where they had a pre-show, and we were told it doesn't count, I'm not wasting 2 hours of my life on that pre-show anymore.
Well, it's only 1 hour. It's only going to be, it's 2 hours. It'll be 2 hours at the Rumble, though.
Yeah, 2 hours at the Rumble.
Well, I mean, the Buddy Murphy match with Cedric Alexander was really good.
We had a guitar match, a guitar hanging from the ceiling match.
Yeah, there was a lot of
That's
stuff.
ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that, honestly, now that the show's over with, that really didn't need to be there.
No. What happened? What happened with that Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins match? That was billed as a ladder match.
No, I don't remember it ever being billed as a ladder match.
I had a lineup like 2 days ago that listed it as a ladder match.
Okay, no, the ladder match was...
Ladder match was the Drifter match.
Yeah, the Drifter match was the ladder match. Yeah, this was just an Intercontinental title match. There was problems with that match. I mean, it died.
You don't say? That match was terrible.
Yeah, the match I thought was terrible was Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton.
That was also bad, but a different kind of bad.
Yeah, but that one, there was a lot of reasons that match didn't work. Vince was furious at it too. There was, I mean, it's funny because, I mean, obviously the one thing is that they played this up as this big grudge match, and then they went out there and they
locked up.
They did
holds.
They did a wrestling
dives.
Match. Yeah, but the one thing that I don't want to say I got mad at, because I wasn't mad, but it did perplex me, was Seth Rollins does the spot where he power bombs Dean Ambrose out of the corner, and then his knee goes out and he just collapses. And I thought, well, that's good. Everyone remembers that spot when he actually hurt his knee, so it plays off of that. Then he gets right back up, power bombs the guy through a table, like a second later, and then he's up doing, running the ropes and all this and doing dives. And I mean, he still sells.
Dude, it wasn't just a power bomb through a table. He sold his knee like he'd blown it out again.
Right.
And then he did a running
power bomb.
Buckle bomb.
Yeah, running buckle bomb, yeah.
And there was another one. There was another one earlier where he sold it like he blew out his knee. Actually, I think this is the one where he did it out of the corner. He sold like he blew out his knee and literally immediately followed it up with 2 topes. And then later he pretended to blow it out again. And that time was the time he did the running buckle bomb into the corner.
Yeah, I was like, I was just perplexed. Because, like, if you're going to do that, then sell it, But whatever. The women's match was great. The Daniel Bryan match was great. So that made the show. And Ronda Rousey was great too. Everything else was ranged from okay to a few matches weren't too good. Most were okay. A couple were good. It was I think overall you got to say it was a really good show. I mean, without a doubt, it was a really good show. You get 2 matches the caliber of the women's match, the women's 3-way TLC match. I had qualms about that match, and I still do. The mentality is, and it's going to be the mentality in wrestling, in the sense that, okay, you're cleared. But as that match is going on, I'm thinking that, like, these three can go out there and they're going to have a great match. It's just Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch have incredible intensity with each other. It really is something amazing. And Ronda Rousey has it too. I mean, when they start doing those matches, and obviously they did the Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair match at the last pay-per-view, and they're going to do it again at Rumble, it looks like. And then they're going to do, Ronda and Becky Lynch, which is going to be huge when they get to that match as well. So they just really have that intensity. And, Asuka's a great worker, so she was anything but a negative in this match. I mean, but I just thought that, you didn't really need... I mean, you could have done a no GQ match and done all the gimmicks and everything like that, but I just kept thinking that, Becky Lynch is coming back from a concussion, and you're putting people in matches that guys who are experts at this match get hurt in left and right. And Becky Lynch is coming off not just a concussion, but a broken nose. And she's the hottest thing in the company. So, they're going to have a great match on their own. You know what I mean? I know it is the TLC show, and it's the first women's TLC match, but and I'm sure they planned it before she got hurt. So I get it, but I don't know. I there were points where I was thinking, is this really, the risk worth the reward? Because you've got something really great, and it's these gimmick matches. I don't know, that match was great. It's not like I'm complaining about it, but the reality is that when it comes to this TLC stuff, the Lashley match with Elias, with the guitar hanging, the ladder made no difference. I thought the match wasn't any good. There were a couple of ladder bumps, but the match was so at best. Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton.
Stupid idea.
Yeah.
You got to climb a ladder. You got to climb a metal ladder so that you can get something made of wood for a weapon. Why don't you just hit each other with the ladder? What do you need a guitar for? The whole concept of the match is stupid.
It's symbolic because the guitar was smashed on each other.
Who cares? If someone keeps beating me up with a guitar and I have the option to hit him with metal, I'm going to use the metal. I'm going to use the ladder.
Yeah, I know. But Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton. First of all, I don't think I've ever seen a chairs match that was worth a crap. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but I always remember on these shows you had the chairs match.
Do you remember the first chairs match? What's the first chairs match you remember?
Wasn't something with Big Show?
No. Go back further.
What?
It's a Russo idea.
Oh God, I think I got that blocked out of my head by this point.
I just watched one last week from 19 years ago, 2 weeks ago. There was a chairs match on Nitro.
Oh, on Nitro.
Somebody must have watched it and thought, hey, let's do a chairs match at TLC.
Oh, well, they've done chairs matches in the past in wrestling, going way back when. There have been chairs matches in the 70s and 80s. They were very rare and all that. The Sheik did them, I know that. But the thing is
what's the rule back then? What if we have a chairs match and I hit you with a shovel? Am I DQ'd?
I don't know. They just hit each other with chairs, and the chairs were legal. That's all. That was the idea. The idea was chairs were legal, and it was for a 1, 2, 3, and probably guys had been bringing chairs in for angles, and now it's the babyface can use a chair legally, and that's the story of the match. Probably the babyface got riled up. Since the Sheik, I'm sure the Sheik used a chair, because the Sheik's psychology was always the same. Goes in there, uses a chair, bloodies the guy up. The guy gets the chair back, probably uses it, hits him, and gets DQ'd. So it's let's bring it back in a chairs match. And then that would be how you do it. But the Rey Mysterio Randy Orton chairs match, I was just so mad watching this match because it was no good. And it's those two guys in their sleep can have a good match. But no, they've got to figure out a way to incorporate chairs over and over, which basically waste time, and plus Randy Orton's taken forever to set everything up. It's just people talk about those old ECW matches where they take forever to set up, and it's that's not, at times, was not an unfair criticism, but this was the epitome of it. It was just I thought it was horrible, and it's two guys that are so good. That why do you put two guys who are so good in a match that's going to suck? I don't even. It's think about like if I'm going to maximize like you know the entertainment value of a show, why am I taking it away? I mean, it's almost like I feel like whoever is in charge who came up with this like has no wrestling instinct whatsoever. Because I mean, I thought that as soon as they announced that match, I thought it. It's like I used to always think of like when different guys who didn't know anything about wrestling were bookers, and they would come up with these things, and we would talk and go like, well, if they understood how the styles don't work, and they didn't understand at all, right? You just make a match, and you don't understand that this guy's not going to work well with this guy, and it's not a money match. It's a money match, and it's a grudge and all that. It's a money match. You just make it work. But when it's like a prelim match, the prelim match is there to entertain you. You know, it's not so. If it's something that's not going to work for the better, don't do it. And that's what I kind of felt with that. But
let's start at the beginning. Take us through this pre-show.
Okay, so it's two matches. It was Cedric Alexander going against Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy won with Murphy's Law. And it was if you ever watch 205 Live and watch these guys, it was pretty much exactly what you would expect. They've had better matches than this, but it's at 3:00 and the crowd's filing in, so you have that negative. But they did get over, and the people really liked it, especially at the end. It was probably one of the better pre-show matches in the last year. It was really good. Cedric did the lumbar check at one point, but Buddy Murphy rolled to the ropes. But it was very, it's like really predictable and patterned, I guess. It's like, when you like, WWE, they'll get these things, and then one of the new things now is that you hit the finishing move on the guy, and then he rolls out of the ring, or he rolls to the corner, and he's getting his foot on the ropes, rather than the idea of him landing near the ropes. You don't even see it coming, and then he gets his foot on the ropes right before the 3 count. I mean, it's like the way they do it, it's like you see it coming, you know it's coming, you know what it is. And I feel that's, to me, like a great professional wrestler gets there without you seeing it. And these, and I'm not saying they're not, because this is not them. This is how the matches are laid out now. They like that spot. The company likes that spot, the agents or whatever. So you see it all the time. And it was just like a lot of stuff, a lot of tropes, I guess, in the match that are overused. But I mean, as far as the match itself, it was really good. The crowd got into it and everything like that. And then you had, Bobby Lashley and Elias in the guitar match, and it was just there. They both took big bumps on the ladder. I think Bobby Lashley did a belly to belly, into like a ladder in the corner, which was didn't look like a fun bump. And then, which was the one Bobby Lashley took a bump. Or does Elias take another bump? Hold on. There was another bump. There was another bump in there on the ladder somewhere. But anyway. Leo Rush was climbing to the top. Elias knocked him off the top, got the guitar, and he won. He went to use the guitar, but Leo Rush jumped on his back. Elias threw Leo Rush off. Bobby Lashley hit the spine buster on him. I think that was the bump through the ladder. I think he's giving him spine buster on the ladder. Leo Rush gave him a frog splash, and then Bobby Lashley broke the guitar on Elias. And, I mean, it was nothing wrong with it. It was okay. I mean, as far as the pre-show match went, it was fine.
So they showed it up with the finals of the Mixed Match Challenge, 3-month-long round-robin tournament. Comes down to Truth and Carmella versus Jinder and Alicia Fox in a nothing match with dance break in the middle like they're always doing.
Well, that's the only reason they had the matches, so they could do the dance break. But the Sings ruined the dance break. That was the heel heat.
Yep, Singh brother hit the ring. So finally, by the way, the women can beat up the men, not vice versa. If you've been watching, you know that. Carmella hit
that's every single mixed match challenge match has that.
Yep, Carmella hit a super kick. Jinder broke it up. Singh brother hit the ring, got thwarted, and then Carmella put Alicia in the code of silence, got the submission. So R-Truth and Carmella are both number 30 in their respective Royal Rumbles, which I'm sure will.
So there's got to be a surprise. I mean, Carmella will be.
It's got to be R-Truth coming out number 30 for the women.
Oh, God. I mean, I suppose you could be right.
I mean, they did 3 months for a comedy spot here, so I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility that he tries to come in number 30 for the women.
Oh, he may try to come in, but Carmelo's going to come in number 30.
Well, sure, yeah, but I think he comes out, thinks he's in the other Royal Rumble, everybody laughs, then Carmella comes out, and there you go.
Yeah, that actually I could see that. Yeah.
They also get a free vacation anywhere, and Carmella's allegedly unaware that they were supposed to submit their destination, so she didn't. R-Truth did. He wants to go to WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. She's outraged. I have no sympathy for her. She should have submitted. And that's it. All comedy there in the end for the Mixed Match Challenge.
Well, you knew that they were going to come up with a comedy thing there. Hopefully they follow up with a skit, but...
Yeah, but how much fun can you have with them going to Stamford, Connecticut? They could have. There's all sorts of comedy you could do with them going to other places.
Well, I have no high hopes for it. If it was another promotion at another time, I'd go, there's going to be some cool skits coming out of this. Now I just think there's going to be skits coming out of this, and maybe they'll be funny. I mean, R-Truth to me, he cracks me up.
He's awesome.
And
I love this team. Yeah. I'm glad they won. It means nothing, but I'm glad they won.
Yeah, but they should open every single SmackDown house show together.
Yes, and they should do that Truth TV. That Truth TV was fun.
I wouldn't overdo it. I mean, maybe once a month or something.
Sure,
I could see it. Yeah, if it was weekly, I think it would get real old. But once a month, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think as far as the house show goes, I think they're great at opening up a show that, it really worked here. And I would keep them together. The ring entrance is great. It's probably the best ring entrance in the whole company these days.
Yep.
So and let them go in there and do their couple-minute match, and it's fine. So, yeah. Hopefully that whatever they do to follow up isn't stupid.
We had the Bar, the New Day, the Usos, three-way for the WWE Tag Team titles. Basic match early, heat on Xavier. Kofi and Cesaro got the hot tags. Usos hit their super kicks all over the place. And all sorts of near falls. Everyone's trying to break everything up. Kofi had the big trust fall off the top on everybody, which the announcers laughed at. Like it was just a funny-looking spot, even though the guy risked his life here in this move. Sheamus hits a bro kick out of nowhere, pins Xavier. So the Bar retained the tag team titles. It was fine. It was pretty much just a collection of moves. Everybody did a bunch of moves, broke it up. Nothing wrong with it, but
it was fine. But I expected better, and I've seen better. But it was a reasonably good, it was a reasonably good prelim match, so to speak. If it's the main event, you'd go like, But for their spot on the card, they, I can't say they didn't do anything big, but it was fine. It was fine. I want to make a couple notes real quick. So Ronda Rousey didn't turn heel in case. I don't think anyone probably even thought she did because of how they do this stuff. And what's the other thing? And Charlotte Flair is okay, but she did have the wind knocked out of her on that spot where Becky Lynch landed on her, like right on her chest. So, but she's okay, but she was hurt at the time. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else on that show of nothing else. Dolph Ziggler is wrestling Finn Balor tomorrow on Raw. So they did an angle there. That was what it was. It's just an angle. I don't know.
We'll get to it. First off, they announced that tomorrow Vince is coming back to the show. And I have a question for you.
I don't know the answer to anything on Vince.
Well, I'm going to try here. So, okay. They're blaming the shitty ratings on Baron Corbin. That's like the storyline. They flat out said it when they talked about Vince coming back tomorrow.
Right, and Vince is going to do this great burial of Baron Corbin.
So here's my question. What's going to happen when they get rid of Baron Corbin's storyline and the ratings are still shitty? Then what?
Well, they're going to be shitty the next couple of weeks. They'll be up this week because of the, not so much the pay-per-view, but because of Vince. So they'll be up this week, and then the next 2 weeks they're going to be terrible, but they don't count. And then after that, it's, they'll start coming up after January, January 8th? January 8th, I mean, I know January 8th might be a little tough because it's against the College Football Championship, but January 8th rating always seems to do okay. I think people are kind of ready for the build to the Royal Rumble. So from January 8th on till WrestleMania, they're not going to do bad ratings. They'll start doing bad ratings again when the NBA playoffs get going.
We had Corbin versus Braun Strowman. Heath Slater's there as referee. Corbin wants him to count out Strowman, but Strowman is there. He's got a cast on. Braun Strowman comes out and says, "You forgot to mention there's a TLC match that means no DQ. Therefore, if somebody wants to help me, they can do it. Anybody who is sick and tired of dealing with a shitty GM, it's perfectly legal."
Okay, so now, why was this a TLC match?
I guess so a bunch of guys could run in.
But you couldn't.
It could have just been a no DQ match. It could have been anything. But you know why? Because it's the TLC pay-per-view. So I had to make it a TLC match. So, yeah. Apollo Crews.
But I mean, like, okay, before, I mean, it was booked this way before Strowman got hurt. So the idea was that these guys were going to do a TLC match. Do you know what the odds are of Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman in a TLC match and it being like a mess, or somebody getting hurt real easy by trying to do ladder spots? They're pretty high. Or maybe, or they don't do any ladder spots, in which case, why make it a TLC match? Because those guys are so big, I wouldn't even want to see them try to do ladder spots. So,
well, what I don't want to see is them doing a straight wrestling match. So any sort of gimmick you want to throw in there is fine with me.
Yeah, well, we're going to be getting those matches, straight wrestling matches coming up.
Oh, God.
Them maybe not on television, though, but not right away. I mean, I don't think he's going to be back for a couple more weeks, judging from how, I mean, they wouldn't even let him do a power slam.
No, he won't be back for a while, but. So this babyface comes out, and Apollo Crews, Rude, Gable, Finn Balor, all come out. They're all beating up Corbin. Corbin goes to leave. Kurt Angle comes out. Corbin throws his ass, beats him with a chair, tosses him in the ring. All of the babyfaces hit a finish. It is literally 7-on-1 advantage babyfaces. And finally, Strowman covers him. Slater puts on the ref shirt, counts the pin. Lillian announces the loser of this match is Baron Corbin. He is no longer the GM of Raw. And that was the payoff to all of this.
Yeah. Well, they did the best they could with the hand they were dealt. That was all he could do. They didn't trust him to do anything. So, it didn't suck.
There was nothing to suck.
Yeah. I mean,
logically, do anything.
Logically, the idea of all these baby faces ganging up on that poor heel, is kind of weird. And it was weird, but, that's just how they did it.
We had Natalya, Ruby Riott in a tables match. They could have done, by the way, is Strowman comes out there and Baron Corbin, he brings out a bunch of heels to beat up on Braun Strowman because it's no DQ, which is even more heelish.
Yeah, but Braun Strowman can't take.
No, I'm not done yet.
It's very clear.
This is even more heelish because he needs help to beat up a guy with one arm. But before anybody can get their hand on Strowman, a bunch of baby faces come out and they beat up all the heels. And in the melee, Corbin gets laid out and Braun pins him.
I like that better than what they did, for sure.
It's not like a bunch of babyface just beating up this one guy.
Yeah, because there's more. It's more of a real babyface thing. Whereas what they did now was just, you're kind of like, okay, I guess we hate Baron Corbin so much that this is okay. But my God, these babyfaces are anything but babyfaces. They're like as bad at dicks as the heels.
Yep. Natalya, Ruby Riott tables match. Of course, Ruby has the table with Jim Neidhart on it, and they do a couple spots here and there, table spots, and finally, Natty goes under the ring. She grabs a table of her own. Ruby's photo is on it, and she puts on a Hart Foundation jacket from 1990. She points to the sky. Ruby cuts her off, puts her on the table, goes up top. Natty jumps off the table. They brawl in the middle rope, and Ruby tries a top rope Frankensteiner, but Natty powerbombs her off the second rope through the table, gets the win, and it's fine. Happy ending.
Natty put Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan both through tables earlier, since they were out there as well. So it was fine. Yeah.
We had Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor. So match was all right. It was pretty good early.
Actually, I really liked the match until the ending. I thought those two guys were like compared to most of the people on the show, when those two guys are in the ring, it's like they're like real high caliber pro wrestlers. It's like their stuff looks good. They move they move like stars. They act like stars. They're not out of position. I'm not saying other people are, but these guys are more crisp than most, and they're quicker and they're more athletic. And, it's a real strong match. But, the finish was a gimmick finish. So I kind of think like when you have a real crappy match and you do a gimmick finish, it's kind of like, okay, it's a crappy match, or it's you have guys who are marginal talented and you do a finish like that. It's like, well, you need that. Whereas this one, it's kind of like you're having this really good competitive match, and then you do this finish that felt, again, a little bit out of context in the sense that Finn Balor beats him, but like why? In the sense that, did Finn Balor gain anything from beating him other than the fact that we know that Drew's going to probably kill Finn Balor like in a week or two, just like he did Ziggler? And I guess it sets up the Ziggler and Finn Balor match somehow. He helps him win, so therefore they're going to wrestle the next day. Okay, whatever. And, and then you got McIntyre losing, which essentially you're telling people that wins and losses mean nothing because you know that McIntyre is not going down and Finn's not going up. They're both staying in the same position, and McIntyre's a much bigger star. So McIntyre is losing again, and it doesn't mean anything. So in the end, all you do is tell people that the babyface needed help to win. So what kind of a babyface is he? And wins and losses don't matter. So it's like, I don't. That's not hurting because that's just the truth of what everything is. But if you want to, if you want to like improve the product and everything, and have these matches mean something and have ramifications, and that's why you need to pay attention because this shit matters. This was just, that they're not gonna, this is just another example of that.
So what happened was Ziggler runs in while the ref is distracted. He gives Drew a super kick outside the ring, goes to get a chair, and Drew just boots it right into his face. Dolph then tosses him into the ring, gets in the ring with the chair, which is not a DQ, and Finn boots the chair into Drew's face, goes up top, hits the double foot stomp, and gets the pin. And Cole makes sure to mention, this was not about Dolph trying to help anybody, just so we know that Finn and Dolph are not friends.
So, whatever.
Finn's a babyface.
Yeah.
Drew's a heel. Dolph is an unlikable person. That's the storyline.
And Drew McIntyre got cheated by the babyface in a match that he was completely dominating.
Well, he got
cheated in a match he was completely dominating, that he was the stronger guy.
But it was the guy that he beat up, interfered, cost him the match.
Yeah. So is like
Dolph's not a babyface. He made that clear on television.
Yeah, he made it clear when he attacked Finn again. He's not a babyface.
Yes.
So what is he?
He's an unlikable person. That's it. No one likes him. Heels or babyfaces alike.
Okay, so why did he turn on McIntyre? It was just for like 1 week and one match.
He's an unlikable person.
Okay.
It's the best I can come up with, dude.
Like I said, babyface and heels don't matter here because they don't look. They're not logically put together. That's all there is to it.
We had Ray and Orton in a chairs match. There were, in fact, chairs everywhere. Spots included Ray going for the sit-down splash off the apron, but Orton got out of the chair, and so Ray landed on the chair. So sitting down, he sold. Then they did a bunch of stuff outside the ring, and finally, Randy sets up chairs in the ring so that he can do, I guess, an RKO onto a chair, a line of chairs.
Onto 4 chairs.
Yep. But Ray ends up giving him a 619 on the chairs and a front-rolling cradle, pins him, and that's the match.
It wasn't 619 exactly. He was more like he ran the chairs and then did a Hurricane Rana, and then gave him the front roll.
Do you remember when they were feuding and like Randy kept taking his mask off?
Yeah. And the mask had nothing to do with anything.
Nothing.
Nope. Never went for the mask.
Nope.
Ray never complained.
Nope.
We got a chairs match.
Yeah. I'm gonna take off your mask. That'll lead to a chairs match.
Yeah.
And I know someone's going to say, well, Bryan, remember when he pilmanized his neck with the chair? You're right, that did happen. That also happened with Ronda Rousey. and she didn't sell it, and that didn't lead to a chairs match.
And Ray didn't really sell it either.
He wore a neck brace for a week, and then it just fell off, and he just kept going.
Well, he came out with a neck brace, and then he got in a fight.
Yeah, it fell off, and he just kept wrestling. Once it fell off, his neck had healed.
Yeah.
It was like a cocoon.
Yeah. So this was this just meant nothing at all. This just felt like a complete waste, actually.
So this is where we had the Finn Balor promo. He's mad that Dolph was out there, so Dolph shows up and beats his ass. That leads to a match on Monday. Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey. They had a pretty good match. They've been training a lot together this whole weekend. And
I thought this match was really good.
Yep. Rousey's very good when she trains for these matches. She had all sorts of cool spots. She tried a flying armbar off Nia's powerbomb attempt.
She was great. This was one of her better matches.
Nia tried a suplex, run and turn into a rear naked, then hit a victory roll into an armbar.
She did a high fly flow to the floor.
Nia's throwing her all over outside. Yep, high fly flow to the floor. Step up Superman punch in the ring. Another high cross. But Nia caught her, hit a Samoan drop. And finally, Nia goes for a super Samoan drop. Ronda gives her a powerbomb off the middle rope. Goes for the armbar. Tamina distracts her. And Nia goes for the face breaker punch. Ronda avoids it. Hits the Samoan drop into an armbar for the submission or whatever that was.
Flying armbar, yeah.
Flying armbar, and yeah, I liked it because it was more fast-paced than the last one they did. The last one, I know everybody loves Ronda's selling, but she sold for like 9 minutes last time, and it was too much. I thought this one was much better.
Her selling was great in this one too, but she's so intense. The thing is that like the whole idea of this of this Nia Jax thing was just to basically killed the month before Charlotte the Rumble because they didn't want to do Charlotte Flair, obviously because they want to do this match with Charlotte Flair instead. So Nia Jax was just kind of like there as a retread, a little bit of steam off of the Becky Lynch thing. So, but it was just like a kind of a placeholder. That's actually what I was kind of told, is that like this is just a placeholder until Ronda gets to the big matches, which is why even in the buildup of this one, there was always the underlying Charlotte Flair, because that's what they consider the big match. This was just the match to get to the big match.
Nia's backstage. She won't do an interview. Becky walks up, says, "Remember when you broke my face?" Then she boots her in the stomach, punches her, tells her to keep her name out of her mouth. Is that really the end of this?
I hope so, because I mean, realistically, they really should do a feud, just because it's one of those things that's kind of like handed to you. And it makes sense to do that feud, but I don't think that they are. I mean, they may. I think that maybe like on one of those February pay-per-views or something, that they could find an excuse to do a match where Becky Lynch has to beat Nia Jax to get her match with Ronda Rousey. So you do it. I think that makes sense to do it just because of all that. But I don't want this long involved program with the two of them because I don't think it'll be that good.
I mean, I hate to say it. I hate to say this, but if you did the Women's Royal Rumble and it came down to Becky and Nia Jax.
Oh, I think there's a real good chance it's going to come down to those two.
I mean, the place would be going nuts, and you could do the old both tumble out and tie, and they've got to do their match at the February pay-per-view in order for Becky to get her shot at Ronda Rousey.
You absolutely could do that.
The problem is if you're doing that, Nia probably shouldn't have lost to Ronda Rousey clean in the middle here tonight.
No, it's okay. It's okay because Ronda's a big star. And Ronda and Nia Jax, even though she tapped and everything like that, and there's still Becky Lynch still got hurt by her. There's still that thing, even though So I don't have a problem with that at all. But yeah, I think that they should do one pay-per-view match, and kind of solve that issue. I don't think it should be dead right now.
AJ does a promo. He's asked, and I quote, "Do you think you're mentally prepared to win the title back tonight?" Of course he says yes. Bryan AJ for the WWE title. They had a hell of a match, 25 minutes long.
I loved this match. I'm not kidding you, man. I loved this match. The more it went, I mean, to me, this match could have gone on like a show in New Japan or like any promotion, Ring of Honor or whatever, and it would be just like a killer match. Because it was so, you know what the difference in this match was with almost every match in WWE, or 90% of the WWE matches, is like, I'm watching this and it's like, I can tell that these two guys, you know, really thought deeply about this match. You know what I mean? It's not like the agents just laid it out and you're kind of like just going through and you're doing all your WWE. They did so much stuff that you don't do in WWE in a cadence that WWE doesn't do. I mean, it's really a non-WWE cadence. And I think that's what I really, it's just like they did their thing. You know, they did their idea of a great match as opposed to a WWE match with those two guys. And it worked. You know, I just love the match.
AJ made a big comeback, set up for the Styles Clash. Bryan rolled outside. AJ posts him. Ushigoroshi in the ring. Bryan with the knees from a cravat position. Came off the top. AJ hit a dragon screw. Chop block worked over the knee. Kept going for the clash. Ended up in the single leg crab. Bryan turned into the yes lock, which is now the label lock because the yes movement is dead.
Did you see that promo, by the way?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Oh, one of the best promos of the year. I mean, it's up somewhere. I don't know, you know, but it was a promo that Daniel Bryan did on the pre-show, and it's his best promo to date as far as like, you know, since he went heel, you know, and it was just an incredible promo. And in the promo, he said that, like, the yes movement is dead. It's now the label lock.
So, yeah, it's a label lock. They trade kicks in the middle of the ring. AJ with a springboard 450. Bryan kicks out. AJ rolled into the calf crusher. Goes for the phenomenal forearm. Bryan avoids it. AJ with a cradle. Bryan reverses the cradle. 1, 2, 3. Clean pin in the middle of the ring. So, there you go. Mr. Small Package is back. And this match was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that they do another one or many more.
We had Charlie with Ronda and Natty, and Charlie just blows off Natty. She wants to talk to Ronda. Ronda says, "Payback's a bitch. I'm the baddest one on the planet." Off she goes. Then we had the Seth versus Dean match. I hated this match.
I don't know. I mean,
dude, I hated this match. It's a grudge match.
Well, I know
this
that.
match was built around a guy hoping one of his old friends basically dies of leukemia, or he doesn't care if he dies of leukemia.
Well, it's a little strong.
He's going city to city getting inoculated. It's like a bunch of, it's either stupid stuff that people don't believe, or it's bad comedy. But it's supposed to be a grudge feud. They hold it off. They finally get in the ring, and they lock up. And they're trading holds. And Dean gets him down on the mat. He's got him in a chin lock here in this match. Then they finally start doing some high spots, and Seth sells his knee, goes for a dive. Sells his knee, goes for running buckle bomb. Then the fans are just done with it. They start chanting, "This is boring," in the middle of this match. Soon as Seth hears this, he starts doing his moves. Ripcord knee, does the suplex into the Falcon Arrow, frog splash. Dean gets his knees up.
When they did the suplex and the Falcon Arrow, the crowd did come back.
They always do. It's Pavlovian. Doesn't mean that like it was a good match.
Yeah, well,
you could do that in the middle of a barbed wire Christmas tree match they're going to pop. And then, after all of this, Dean wants the old Shield fist bump. And Seth he's got to think about it. I'm like, you got to think about it? Are you kidding me? He stands there and he's got to think about it. And then finally he lays him out with a lariat. Goes crazy on the guy outside. He's out of his mind. Buckle bomb into the barricade. Throws him back in the ring. Ambrose boots him, DDT for the pin. It's like, what?
Yeah, I know, right? That like just
dude,
one kick into DDT. And so the idea is that
his emotions got to him.
His emotions got to him, and somehow he lost. So it's, I mean,
sucked.
Dean should have won. I mean, just the way the feud goes, Dean should have won the championship. So, it didn't work. I think a lot of it also was that the fans, it was just too long of a show, and the fans were, at that point, I mean, they couldn't follow the match before. I mean, that's the one thing, is like, even when they're out there doing a wrestling match that's not as good as the wrestling match before, and not...
Yeah, but they're doing a wrestling match. That's the whole point.
Yeah. But the thing is that they couldn't follow. You know, they shouldn't.
They shouldn't have tried to follow it with a
well,
wrestling
it's not even
match.
that. It's not even that. It's not even that. The interest level in the crowd was not with these guys. The interest level in the crowd was that the two matches they wanted to see were when you put a match that when you're that deep into a show and people are ready to go home because they've seen so much and they've got a main event that they really want to see. You know, they turned into being the equivalent of the old days when they put that women's match on right before the main event and right after a really hot match. You know, the bathroom break or whatever you call it. The big joke when the 3-minute women's match, the buffer thing. These guys were the buffer, and they went 22 minutes or whatever it was. And the people, you know, like one of the reasons that it didn't get over, that the crowd revolted on it was because it went so long. I think that if they would have just gone in there and done 10 minutes and a hot 10 minutes, I think that the people would have been fine. But they were out there and they just wanted to see Becky Lynch at this point. They didn't, you know, and it's not a good thing for Seth because Seth's being groomed for big stuff. And it's not a good thing for Dean because Dean's supposed to be like this top heel. And the reality is that, like, you know, they needed to be earlier on the show. There's another issue.
Well, Dave, we're still overlooking the main problem here. If I'm putting a show together, okay, and I've got a great, on paper, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan wrestling match, okay? Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be a main event, which is a 3-way women's TLC match with tables, ladders, and chairs, okay? I don't have a problem putting a grudge match in between those two matches because all 3 of those matches, in theory, should all be different.
You're right.
This was a wrestling match following the Daniel Bryan match. It didn't make any sense in storyline. It was ridiculous to try to go 25. I don't know what these agents are thinking. Why were these guys out here having a wrestling match?
I don't have an answer for that. I was just thinking that they were out there for way too long, and they were.
Yeah, they were. They were out there. If it would have been 5 minutes, it was too long if they were going to do a wrestling match. It doesn't make any sense. Well,
it doesn't make any sense, but also, again...
The fans are not that stupid that they don't recognize that this didn't make any sense.
Yeah, but they were chanting for Becky Lynch.
They were chanting, "This is boring." Because the match was boring.
Because they wanted it over.
Because it was a stupid wrestling match when it's supposed to be a grudge blood feud based on leukemia.
I don't disagree, but at the same time, it's like they wanted them out of the ring.
I did too.
They were the frickin' buffer match, and they didn't. Whatever. Whoever laid out the show didn't understand that those guys were not as over as they thought they were. And I mean, I think that the whole idea is that we can't end the show with 2 straight SmackDown matches. So we put the strongest.
God forbid.
So we put the strongest.
We can. They're the loser brand. They taught us that last month.
Right. So we're going to end with this. We have to end with the women's match because the one thing I'll say about this one is that, like, before when they would put the women on last, okay, when they did it at the Royal Rumble, it was because of Ronda Rousey. And when they did it the first time, it was kind of like a pandering thing, like, well, everybody wants it, so let's do it, because Vince didn't even want to do it that week. But this one, there was like, this was the main event, and there was no doubt it was the main event. And it had to go. I mean, it didn't have to. They could have put the Ambrose match on last, but it would have been a mistake. The point is that, like, these women were the hottest. They regardless of match quality, they had the most interest of any match. They were the most over people on the show. So, I mean, it's like they earned and deserved this main event spot as opposed to it being, handed to them because people wanted some like revolutionary moment or because Ronda Rousey was there. I mean, this was like the real main event on the show. And it was a hot, strong main event. Like from the start, when it started, it didn't have like a super big fight feel. It had a mildly good big fight feel, but they worked it up to where it got the intensity of the match and everything. I mean, just got it up to the level it needed to be right away. But, the whole show, I mean, people were chanting for Becky Lynch before the show, during interviews. I mean, by, you're 4.5 hours in, 5 hours in. Not quite 5 hours in, but 4.5 hours in, yeah, you're ready for Becky Lynch. And that the big mistake, that was just they probably should have gone like 12 minutes And, yeah, they should have been brawling all over the place. But even if they did, they weren't going to get over that much after the Daniel Bryan match. I don't believe.
So the main event was a TLC match, three-way women's match. And they had a hell of a main event. Killed each other in spots. Becky took a flare toss off the top, landing lower back first on the rungs of a ladder. There was the spot we talked about where she came off the top and just squashed Charlotte. We had Charlotte... Actually, Asuka gave Charlotte a powerbomb through a ladder in the corner. All sorts of crazy spots. And lots of "This is awesome" chants. We had brawling outside. Charlotte speared Asuka through the dasher boards at one point. Becky went to climb. Charlotte yanked her off. They had a hell of a battle. Charlotte put her on the table, says the man bows down to the queen. Hit a flip dive off the post through Becky and the table.
She also did a moonsault off the top to the floor on both of them, which she almost did the Shawn Michaels, because they were not quite there, but they were there enough that she didn't fall on her face. I mean, they did break her fall, but it was like they should have been a little closer together.
So finally, at the end, after all these crazy spots, Becky goes, set up another ladder. Her and Charlotte are fighting up top. Ronda Rousey strides down, gets in the ring, tips over the ladder. Charlotte and Becky both necked on the top rope. And Asuka, who they don't try to make a babyface. They don't have her do goofy babyface things. She's just Asuka, and everybody loves her. They love her enough that she climbed up, grabbed this belt. She stole the title, basically, from everyone's favorite Becky Lynch. She got a huge babyface pop.
Yep.
Everybody loved it. And Asuka's the new women's champion, which makes sense, because now Charlotte and Becky have to fight to get a shot at Ronda Rousey, who they both want, and who has the Raw title. So, all makes sense. I kind of figured when they put Asuka in the match, this is where it was going to end up, that Asuka was just going to get the belt, and the other two would fight for Ronda, and they have Royal Rumble in February and WrestleMania to do it. So, love the match, like where they're going. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, awesome match. And, yeah, I mean, we know where they're going, and we got a lot of big matches. So, it's really something. Somebody wrote, that I read a couple hours ago, and it really hit me, was that, okay, look at what we have now and everything. And it's like, they could have had this 30 years ago, 35 years ago. But everyone in wrestling, I remember when and you know what? Who's to say maybe I'm wrong and it wouldn't have worked 35 years ago? Maybe the audience was too stupid, or their view of women was women are, not serious athletes and it wouldn't have worked. I don't know. But we still could have had this, because I've seen it. I mean, they had it in Japan. They had it in Japan more than 35 years ago. But I'm just saying, 35 years ago, we could have had this. We could have had, and the powers that be in this industry, women have to work with, they have to work like women, not, like girls, like you can't wrestle like men. And all those women that trained with men and wanted to wrestle like men, and they were told, you got to wrestle like girls because that's what you do. And we never, and they never got over past a certain point. I mean, there was that era with Sable and all that, which it was over. I mean, you can't deny it. And China was over in a certain way too, but the wrestling was crap. Even with Trish Stratus and all that, it's like it was better, but it wasn't close to this. And Trish Stratus was there. Trish Stratus and Mickie James and them were solid workers and all, but they were there because of their looks primarily. And if they could do a good match, it was like a bonus. It didn't have to be a good match as long as they were really good looking. And now, we still have a little bit of that. I mean, there's still women on the main roster that are not really very good, but they're really good looking, and but now they stand out like sore thumbs. Whereas before, it's like, well, that's what women's wrestling is. So it's really something to see this, and it's like, I know there's like the blame of Moolah, and not without fault. I mean, Moolah did perpetuate a style, but again, I mean, it's been, Moolah's been out of power for decades. And they still did it. They were still doing that. They were still doing that when Charlotte Flair started at the school, where where it's like they didn't want them working like men, and they just did. And, it got over in NXT, and now it's here, and it's really something. It is a great change. And, a lot of it has to do with Ronda drawing in UFC. If that didn't happen, I'm sure that wouldn't be a change, but it's great that it's happened. Because if you take the women off of this product, holy shit, you got Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, and then the rest is like boring stuff.
So the Ospreay Tanahashi Omega Bushi match. Did you guys talk about this yesterday?
Yeah, that match was great.
I loved this match.
It was so great.
What I loved about this match the most of anything really is it was like totally awesome, but I see a lot of totally awesome matches.
How about the camera work?
The camera work was great. There was that one spot where there was the what was it, like a Hurricane Rana and Ospreay landed on his feet.
Super Hurricane Rana, he lands on his feet, and then they shoot the thing where where Ospreay is on his feet, turned around mad, and Ibushi's just got that look on his face, and you see, I think he landed on his feet. Yep. Oh my God, after I just did this great move. And it was like that moment, you need to can that moment, and everyone who thinks that these guys don't know how to, they told more of a story in 5 seconds than most guys do in 20 minutes. It was, and the camera work added to it. It's like, I mean, to me, that was the highlight of the whole match right there.
The thing that I love most about this, the camera work was awesome, but I thought the pacing of this match was like unbelievable. Like there's so many great New Japan matches with guys like Ospreay and Ibushi where they start getting going and it's like just boom, 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 boom. And, by the end, like if you wrote everything down, you can remember everything, but like you kind of have to go back because there's so much stuff that it kind of all blends together after a while. I thought the pacing was so great in this match. How they do this big deal and then they give it time to breathe, and you'd be able to kind of like take in what was going on. Then there'd be another big spot. You'd have time to take it in. I just thought the pacing was so good. It made you so excited to see the show. If anything, it made you more excited to see the Ospreay Ibushi match than the Tanahashi Omega match.
Well, like, I thought the same. I think everyone thought the same thing.
Yeah, like the Tanahashi was in there and he did some stuff, but like this was like the Will Ospreay show. Like this match was about building up interest in Ibushi versus Ospreay, but also making you as a viewer think in 2019, like Will Ospreay's going to be the man here. Like that's what it felt like this match was all about.
But not for another year.
No, they still beat him in the end.
He lost. And,
yep, but it didn't hurt him one bit.
Well, no, this helped him. No, he's going to have an incredible year if he doesn't get hurt. Here's the other thing about him is he is okay. He for the whole if you go the whole totality of this year, 2018. I mean, there are guys who had, better matches, not many, but a few. I mean, it's hard to say because that Will Ospreay Walter match was an absolute spectacle. The most recent one, the one in Dublin, that was an incredible spectacle. But but he has improved so much in the last 9 months, and he was already probably top, 4 to 6 in the world. And he's much better now than he was then. And he's only going to get, like Okada. I remember when Okada said it. It's like, he's going to be better than me by the time he gets to be 30. But then the joke is, but is he going to be in the business when he's 30? And I guess we still don't know that. And he's still hurting. But this guy, here's the thing. This guy's hurting. He's coming off a torn intercostal muscle. And he was in the ring with Kenny Omega, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi, who are... Hiroshi Tanahashi is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, without reservation. And Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi are two of the greatest wrestlers in the world today. Kota Ibushi is probably the single most talented wrestler I've ever seen, and Kenny Omega is probably the best big match wrestler I've ever seen, along with Okada. And he was better than all three of them. He was better than all three of them.
He was so good, I forgot he was hurt.
Yeah, that's how good this guy is. He's going to be... He's going to be one of the most unbelievable workers of all time. He probably already is. And
And you know what? He didn't land. I don't think he landed on his head one time.
he did not land.
I can't remember the last time actually that he landed on his head. Aside from something that was like, sometimes things happen when you get thrown and you kind of land funny, but like the days where he deliberately seemed to land on his head on a regular basis, he hasn't been doing any of that.
Well, maybe he listened.
Thank God.
Everyone's been telling him. It's like,
I remember this summer we were talking to people that were like, everybody tells him the same thing and he doesn't want to hear it. Everybody tells him the same thing.
Hey,
maybe
look,
he finally listened. And it hasn't hurt his damn matches one bit. They're just as good, if not better.
You know the deal with me. So there you go. But yeah, that was great. And what else? So they announced a bunch of stuff. Let me just get to that. So they announced the teams in the never open weight trios. So it's going to be Hiroki Goto, Beretta, and Chucky T, which is good. Suzuki, Lance Archer, and Davey Boy Smith, which is going to be a great team. Taguchi, Makabe, and Toru Yano. Michael Hogan, Jeff Cobb, and David Finlay. Marty Scurll, Hangman Page, and Yujiro Takahashi. So that's all at the Tokyo Dome. And then the guys who are not at the Tokyo Dome are going to wrestle on January the 3rd. So Jushin Liger will not be wrestling at the Tokyo Dome for the first time in like over 20 years. Jushin Liger and Tiger Mask against Ren Narita and Yuya Uemura. Yuji Nagata and Abu Nakanishi against Honma and Toa Hinare, and Kojima and Tenzan against Ayato Yoshida and Shota Umino, which will probably be a hell of a match, even with Tenzan in there, just because they're going to be in the main event on the fan access show, and that's usually going to be really good. So then Tama Tonga Tangaloa and Tama Tonga Tangaloa and Ishimori will defend against the winner of the Gauntlet, and they will defend that on New Year's Dash, which is on the 5th.
So there you go. Bandido's signed with the Ring of Honor. They're signing him at a quick clip.
Yeah, so here's the thing with Bandido.
Let me tell you something, by the way, before we get to Bandido. So also signing, obviously, with Ring of Honor, Brody King.
Yep.
And Brody King was at Defy on was it Friday night?
Friday night.
His final date before going to Ring of Honor.
No. He's working shows as late as the 31st.
Well, for Defy.
Yeah.
So, like, everyone knows he's leaving, and I don't know how much this guy made on merch, but like, he needs to quit promotions weekly. He made the line to buy everything that Brody King had. Like, I showed up and he's there with his stuff, and like, everybody's in front of him, and like, Pentagon of all people is standing over there, and he's basically just standing there by himself. Like, everybody's there to just buy everything that Brody King had. He was...
Wow.
They loved this guy. Like he
was nobody just a couple months ago. I remember when he...
Not around here. He's... To the Defy audience, he's like a hometown guy. And he's been around quite a while. And boy, they knew he was going, and they were there to support him on his way out. It was awesome.
Mm.
So anyway, Bandido.
Okay, so Bandido had offers from AEW, WWE, and Ring of Honor. Obviously, AEW, they could not, they don't exist, so they couldn't make an offer since they don't exist. But obviously, they wanted him. And it's funny because last night somebody asked a question to the show, and it was, why would anyone sign with Ring of Honor right now, given the lay of the land? Wouldn't you wait a little while just to see how
you don't know?
Set us? Well, do you need to rush into signing, or it's like can you wait 2 months on something this big? I mean, I was surprised. I think it's a great get for Ring of Honor, and Bandido's going to really help that company up a lot because they needed somebody like him. They needed a couple people like him, but and he's like really one of the key guys. But again, it's another guy off of that. For those guys like AEW and Defy and all those kind of companies, It's another player off the board. Everyone's being taken off the board, whether it's by WWE or now Ring of Honor, and AEW is going to take guys off the board too if and when they get going. But, it's like I was surprised that he signed in this situation, knowing that he was really high on that AEW guys list. I mean, they put him in the main event. And focused on him at All In. And when they had to cut spots, they didn't cut his spots because they wanted him to, since he was the less known guy, they wanted to get him over the most in that match with Ibushi and Ray and them. And so they were really, really high on, and he loves them. So that's why I was really surprised that he did it. But, it's like they couldn't make an offer. Ring of Honor made a great offer. WWE made a real shitty offer, and they did up their offer though. But it still was nowhere close to Ring of Honor's offer. And Ring of Honor, and plus, Ring of Honor's, what's it going to be, like 42 dates. And the other one is, whereas WWE offers way less for twice as many dates. And how some of those guys are, they disappear into the netherworld, or they can be like Grand Metalik, who's this incredible wrestler that nobody even knows other than the people who saw him before in Mexico. They know how great he is because he's been out there, and every now and then he gets a match and he looks great and then he disappears again. Or he's just part of this Lucha House Party thing and he's, doing the noisemakers and he's coming out with a freaking piñata guy or something. So yeah, it's a great deal. And also it's a door open for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it looks like New Japan and Ring of Honor are working pretty close because, the Ring of Honor is replenishing with guys. Zack Saber's going to work a lot next year. I mean, I know a lot, but he's going to work plenty next year for Ring of Honor. And that's another, one of the best guys in the whole business right now. And a unique talent, he doesn't work the same as anybody else. So, I know a lot of people were expecting Ring of Honor to collapse, and they may go down. We'll see. But they made some cool moves. They made some good moves. I mean, to me, I know a lot of people were really mad at the TV tapings last night when they did the. This is not at the Friday, the pay-per-view, but they did the big farewell, and then Bully Ray and Silas Young and the Briscoes all attacked and laid out. The Young Bucks and everybody like that, when everybody wanted to have their big farewell moment with them in Philadelphia. And it was like they did it for the heat, and they wanted to transfer your wanting that great farewell moment and not giving it to you. It's Bully Ray's fault as opposed to the promotion's fault. But a lot of people left blaming the promotion for that one. And I know a lot of people were really upset at that. I heard from people swearing they would never go back. It was so bad, but we'll see. I mean, next time they come to town, if the crowd's down, then it was a bad move. Crowd's up, then it's not. But I mean, the mentality in wrestling is that it's a continuous story, and that would be what you do to get heel heat. Sometimes it doesn't work. I'm sure, so we'll see.
Right before we go, the UFC ratings, pretty good.
I'm surprised. It's the highest rated UFC in 2 years. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. It was a good card, but what does that mean? I mean, Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier on paper was like match of the year. And I thought Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez are bigger stars than Kevin Lee and Al Iaquinta. And
yeah. And
they did, I think, the worst rating. They did terrible rating on the last Fox special. And these guys come in and they do, a great rating. There's a lot of cool stuff. They had I thought they did a great, it was very classy, on a show with that ridiculous non-stoppage of the Barboza fight with Dan Hooker. And on a show, a week after one of the biggest bloodbaths I've ever seen with that Oliveira fight. But so to say classy, it's a fight game, shit happens. But the stuff with the Farewell to Fox, I really thought UFC really, did so well with that. And I mean, I know a lot of people go like, well, they should have done that to John McCarthy, and God knows they should have done to Mike Goldberg. I mean, that was that was the opposite of class, Mike Goldberg's last show. But at least they did it this time. They had everyone say goodbye. They thanked Fox for 7 great years. They probably gave Fox more credit than they deserved for making them mainstream. But there is an element. It's like, yes, they were, people brought up, they were getting more viewers on Spike than they actually got on Fox. And that's true. They were. You shouldn't, but that is what happened. But there is also an element of the fact that they were on every week on Fox and FS1 that while it made it harder to follow and probably burned out a lot of crowds and all that, at the same time, they are an accepted sport now, which they really weren't under Spike. They were like a cool thing, and younger people did accept them as a sport, but older people did not. And now, like they didn't get the kind of media publicity that they get now, not even close. I mean, now they are accepted, second tier sport. They're not the NBA and even NHL, but they're right underneath, and they're legitimate, Dana White's like a legitimate major sports personality, commissioner type guy. Whereas before he was like this renegade guy. So you do get credibility by being on a sports station and being a key sport on a sports station. And in some sense, the ESPN move should give them more credibility because they're going to be on SportsCenter all the time. They're going to be covered more thoroughly, which sometimes may be bad, but whatever. When you're a real sport, that's part of the deal. So that was a really cool deal. Still, of everything this weekend, the two biggest things to me were still unfortunately the lost opportunity with the Lima McFarlane. I watched that thing again. It's on if you want to see it, because it was on DAZN and nobody watched except people who got DAZN. The ring entrance of Alima McFarlane is on the Bellator Twitter. They put it up, and I watched it again. It is so great. Just the way it was shot, and just so you know the background of it. And this was 100, I don't say 100% her, but this was essentially, the video was her idea, the entrance was her idea. You go in there, and I think this is like something for every fighter. Now, granted, you're not always going to get a main event in your hometown, and you're not going to be the key person promoting it and drawing a sellout crowd because the first time in your market and all that. I mean, there's a lot of things going for it. But, and in the end, I almost feel it was a squandered opportunity, because as great as it was, and I mean, John Morgan wrote like it's the greatest thing, one of the greatest things, or the greatest thing he ever saw live at a show. And I'm watching on TV, and it's like, I don't know, it's the greatest thing, but the one that, I mean, it wasn't better than the Mirko Cro Cop ring entrance in the Fedor fight in Pride, which was, to me, will always be the untouchable, most emotional, most unbelievable video and all that I think we'll ever see. But, the next step down, this was probably it. It was so good. When you see all those fans standing up with their phones, all shooting pictures, and people crying at a ring entrance, and her crying at a ring entrance, and Morrow going, she went to the same high school as Barack Obama, which she did much later. She actually did they both went to Punahou High. At least she didn't say King Curtis Iokea, who also went to Punahou High. But it was just an incredible moment that if the people who watched it saw, everybody like on Twitter that was MMA media, I saw, oh my God, the superstar making ring entrance. And then she won the fight, and, it's like a storybook. It was a freaking storybook night, but it's, I sure wish it was on Paramount and people saw it, and more people saw it. That was the negative of it. When it didn't, I knew going in, it's like, this is the one you really want to, I mean, I knew it going in that this is the one you want on television. I didn't realize it was going to be as good as it was, but, yeah, it was awesome.
All right, everybody. On that note, we're going to wrap it up here for today. We'll be back tomorrow after Raw, talking about the return of Vince and whatever angle they're doing tomorrow. The back issue of The Observer is going to be up tomorrow. A new issue on Wednesday. Tons of shows went up this weekend. Tons of shows this weekend, so check those out. And that is it. We will talk to you again after a while.